So that's when I got into the foster care system. And I aged out of the foster care system, and now I'm here. For me, I felt like I really didn't have the space to speak about anything I had worries or concerns about. So I kind of was just, like I said, just trying to get through it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And now you own Afterlife Tea and Boba Shop.
Yeah.
That's really like a good pivot from where you came from.
Well, I think the main thing I always learned in the foster care system is that there are so many people telling me I can't do anything. And it wasn't just in foster care that happened. It was my whole life. You know, growing up, my parents and my brothers and sisters, we kind of weren't close when we were younger. I was always considered the black sheep in the family. I am the middle child, if anyone knows that meme or understand that. Your middle child always gets the heat, you know? So, yeah, and they would always tell me, like, oh, you're never going to graduate high school, you know, you're not smart, blah, blah, blah. And I do have a hard time understanding a lot of stuff when it comes to reading.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dyslexic, so a lot of times looking at a whole bunch of words made me want to throw up.
Oh.
I've always felt like I was there for a lot of people. But then it didn't feel like they were there for me. And when I asked for help, they told me that I'm not living for me anymore. I have to live for my son. And sadly enough, it wasn't enough for me to live for my son. Because how can I feel like I love somebody else if I didn't myself?
And I know a lot of folks come to you for advice, mentorship, whether it be a small business or local artists. So for folks who are want to become entrepreneurs, what is the advice that you want to give them?
The very first thing I would say is do it from your heart. Because if you don't do it from your heart, you'll get bored of it easy. You'll get mad at it. And you'll end up losing money because your heart wasn't in it. You know, you don't have the drive that most people do. Now, if your heart is in making money, that's a different scenario. Like maybe you can make money from making money. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing is,
welcome back to Courageously Speaking with me, your host, Maria Soriano. And here with me is a special guest, Lorencita Santos, who's a food blogger and a community leader. We are so excited today because we're about to interview Reina Manuel. Reina is a small business owner with big dreams and a mission. Today, Reina is going to share with us her courageous story and journey from an abusive relationship and enduring that, and embracing true love and enduring love that inspired her to build a business. Welcome to the show, Reina.
hi.
And who is with us today?
This is my wife, T. Hello.
Hi, T. Thank you so much for helping us get everything set up, you know? So let's start with our first question. Reina, are you from here? You were born in Las Vegas. What's your background?
I actually was born in Guam, Tamoning to be exact. I moved out here when I was 8 years old, and since then I've been kind of living here. I did grow up in the foster care system. When I was 14 years old, that's when I got into the foster care system. And I aged out of the foster care system, and now I'm here.
Mm-hmm. So you were born in Guam.
Yeah.
How long were you there for?
So I was there until I was 8 years old, and then I moved out here.
Okay. And you said foster care system, right?
Yeah.
When you age out, what age do you age at?
So you can age out at certain types of ages. So I actually aged out at 17 instead of 18, as most people in foster care do. There's this thing called being emancipated. So I was able to show my social worker that I can take care of myself at 17 years old because I had a job, I was going to school, and I was paying rent at that time. So they did a court meeting with me and my caseworker, and they said, you're sustainable, you can age out at 17.
Wow. I did not know this.
Yeah, I think the earliest you can get emancipated is 16, I believe, here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and then you were emancipated at 17. So that's how do I say it? It kind of made me a little emotional because I was not expecting. So just so you know, in Courageously Speaking, we don't dig everything because we want it to be very authentic. And when you said you were in the foster care system, I'm very interested to know, how was that experience?
It was definitely tough. Right now, I know I talk a lot, and if you guys have been to my shop, you know I do talk a lot in the shop. But I'm actually a very introverted person. I'm very quiet normally. Growing up in the foster care system, I did not really have a voice in the foster care, and even when I did speak to my social workers and my caseworkers, it was very muted. They didn't really care too much about what I had to say. More of the sense of, you just got to survive this until you're aged out, then you can do whatever you want to do.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt.
Isn't it that in foster care, you're supposed to be fostered, nurtured, taken care of, loved? That's the purpose, and not just to shut up, because I don't think if I can ever shut up, So how was that experience? I'm not sure if you can't speak, that feels bad.
Well, I'm a very observant person, so I watched a lot of other kids in the foster care, in the foster home I was in, and a lot of them had a lot of rage and just what is it called? A lot of people would say bad behaviors or anything. They would go out and do crazy things and come home and yell and cuss at their foster parents and everything. And I was very quiet and very oh, I don't want to get in trouble, because a lot of the times they would threaten you with going to juvie if you went home even a second late after curfew. That's kind of how it was. So for me, I felt like I really didn't have the space to speak about anything I had worries or concerns about. So I kind of was just, like I said, just trying to get through it. But there was a group that I was part of, which was FATE, which stands for Foster and Adopted Youth Together. I don't know if they're still doing that.
This is back in
No, this is here.
Oh, here,
yeah,
ready.
Here in Las Vegas, yeah. So Foster and Adopted Youth Together is a group that a bunch of foster kids would get together, and they would just kind of communicate about what their needs were and what they need to get met. And honestly, it was kind of a bit of a safe place for people to speak out, in the foster cases, I need this. This is not going well in my foster home, blah, blah, blah. But there was still the adult that essentially it was kind of a job, okay, I'm just here listening to you, whatever you want to do. Okay, that's my 9 to 5, drop you off, and that's it, kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And now you own Afterlife Tea and Boba Shop.
Yeah.
That's really a good pivot from where you came from.
Well, I think the main thing I always learned in the foster care system is that there are so many people telling me I can't do anything. And it wasn't just in foster care that happened. It was my whole life. Growing up, my parents and my brothers and sisters, we kind of weren't close when we were younger. Oddly enough, we were close but not close. I don't know if that makes sense. We were close but in a fighting sense. I was always considered the black sheep in the family. I am the middle child, if anyone knows that meme or understand that. Your middle child always gets the heat, So, yeah, and they would always tell me oh, you're never going to graduate high school. You're not smart, blah, blah, blah. And I do have a hard time understanding a lot of stuff when it comes to reading. I'm dyslexic, so a lot of times looking at a whole bunch of words made me want to throw up. So that's kind of how a lot of it I learned is people kept telling me I can't do anything. I'm never going to make it. Honestly, at some point I took it as a drive, okay, yeah, well, watch me do it,
Wow, I love that. I think that you have this wounded tiger personality wherein you don't want to be hurt, but if you are going to get hurt, you better turn that hurt into something positive. Look at this, a pivotal moment in your life that actually forced you to be courageous.
I want to say there's a lot actually in my life that I would consider pivotal for me to be courageous, because every day I wake up, it's another challenge. There's always something else that's going to want to knock you down. And, not just me being somebody from foster care or where I had people tell me I can't do anything, but just humans in general. Just every day you wake up and you're already that person who's telling yourself that today's going to be a hard day, But for me, I think what I would say the biggest moments in my life is at the end of my last relationship before I met her. my ex was very abusive to me, and he and I were together for roughly 9 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Long.
Yeah. And we actually had a kid together, and he made me feel very crazy, and he was very abusive physically, mentally, emotionally, and sexually. And it wasn't until I think towards the end of it that I noticed like all of that all at once. Because during the whole relationship, I would always brush off like, oh, he has the right to be mad at me because I messed up, or he has the right to kick me in the back because I blocked his video game, and I made him lose,
Wow. So you were rationalizing the bad behavior.
Yeah.
Because maybe in the past, you've always been told you better not make a mistake or else this is the punishment.
Yeah.
So it seems like throughout those 9 years, it's repeating history from your childhood.
Yeah. And this is going to be a little bit hard for a lot of people to hear, but after I had my son, it didn't change. I wasn't fighting for myself. I wasn't fighting for him. Unfortunately, it wasn't until I really had somebody like pick me up that I felt like somebody was there for me, because you can go your whole life thinking that people are there for you, but you won't really know it until somebody steps up and says, hey, I'm here for you, So it wasn't until somebody did do that for me that I realized, what am I doing here? Like, I know I'm stronger than this, and I know I have to be stronger than this for my son. I don't want him to grow up the way I grew up. I don't want him to ever feel unwanted or feel like he has to be quiet in order to survive, And like, I remember having a bottle of pills in my hand while my ex was sleeping in bed, and I've already spent the last 2 weeks crying, and my son in my other arm, and just thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. And I've always felt like I was there for a lot of people, but that it didn't feel like they were there for me. And when I asked for help, they told me that I'm not living for me anymore. I have to live for my son. And sadly enough, it wasn't enough for me to live for my son. Because how can I feel like I love somebody else if I didn't love myself? And that's when I met her. And she was the first person, she didn't even know me. And she was the first person, just came randomly to my house for a party that I didn't even throw. And she saw that I wasn't okay. I wasn't even crying. I wasn't doing anything. I was just being my out-of-body self. And she noticed that I was not okay. And she kept pushing, kept bringing me back, and kept grounding. And that's, I think, the pivot in my life that made me feel like, okay, somebody else cares. I should care too.
And I think that's the power of like love and connection. And I think that no amount of wanting to do it yourself is enough until somebody actually do care. Because all of us have, things that we go through, like, right? Like, is anyone's life perfect?
No.
I don't think so. Everyone, no matter the people that you see on TV so successful, everyone is just trying to be okay and to be successful and to make meaning of their lives. But there are also times, like pivotal moments in your life, that it's like really the difference between somebody caring and not. And you have T on your side that, gave you hope that you deserve to be loved. But you can't be loved if you don't love yourself first. But that inspiration that you were there and you love her for who she is and her imperfections and her strength gave you the courage. Yeah, I deserve this. I deserve to be loved like this. But my question is, for those 9 years, I was just wondering why you didn't leave.
Because I grew up in a foster care system, I never felt like I had a home. Every day after school, catching the bus home, I would already be having a panic attack wondering if I get to sleep there tonight, if I can still call that my home.
Well, he said, isn't it that if they are your foster home, you can go home? They're supposed to.
Yeah, but they can also remove you anytime. Yeah.
I did not know that.
If your foster parent had an issue with you, all they had to do is tell your caseworker, I don't want her here anymore, you know. And then you get put into another home, or if there's no home right now, you get put into child haven or safe haven. I was in safe haven, I believe that's what it was. The adult. I actually went to both. I remember this one home I was in, and they didn't want me anymore, so that's where I went for the time being while they tried to find me a new place. I think safe haven is for the little ones. And I was there for a night, and I remember I couldn't even have a teddy bear with me, and I couldn't have my own brush or my own comb. I didn't have any of that, and it felt like prison. It really did feel like prison. And then they transferred me into child haven, which I believe is the one for teens, and that one was even scarier because there was like these doors that you had to go through, and there's a person at the front office that you have to check in and check out, and you couldn't do that without permission of your caseworker. And there's a curfew, and there's a curfew getting in and a curfew once you're in there, lights out, you know. And the rooms were very dull. There was no life in it at all, and the beds were rough, and there was chores you had to do like anywhere else, and all you had to eat was grits. It really felt like prison. And it smelled so bad. And I remember there was like a field in the back where you can go outside and get some fresh air. But the weeds were so outgrown that it was hard to walk on the grass. And the basketball hoop did not have a hoop. And the ball was flat. So there was really nothing to do. And then there was a TV that you could watch. But the TV was so small. And there was only one couch. And the girls and boys couldn't be in the same room at the same time. So you had to take turns.
So you were in that situation, at least even though it was an abusive relationship, you had a home, right? Because you are together with him and you had a home. It didn't feel like home,
yeah,
but at least it's a physical home, unlike in your past,
yeah,
wherein you felt like no matter how strong you are, this is just what you deserve.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much, yeah. So I felt for one moment there was probably power in the sense of being in that relationship because at least I put myself.
Yes, because before you didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
You were put in a place here, at least you were making a choice. Whether that choice is healthy for you or not, it is your choice.
Yeah.
And sometimes us like people, I think the greatest power is having that sense of agency that I can make decisions for myself and no one is dictating to me what to do, what to say, what not to say, well, when to say,
yeah,
when not to say. Like, you make your own decisions. And I think sometimes we also get used to being in pain.
Yeah.
You know, were you at one point saying to yourself, I'm immune to this, I can do...
Oh, yeah. I actually believed I was a masochist at one point.
Oh, my gosh.
Because the amount of pain I put myself through, I was like, yeah, this feels good. At least I'm feeling something, you know?
Like, oh, my God, that's powerful. Sorry. Like you said, at least I'm feeling something.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
A lot of the times, like I said before, my relationship with my ex, I was just kind of trying to survive, going through the emotions with everybody else. I didn't really have a second to feel what I was feeling, you know? And even when I did, people told me shut, you know? I remember my mom telling me that I talk too much and that my talking will get me in trouble.
Is this the a biological one?
My biological mom, yeah. Granted, though, like I disclosed earlier, a lot of my family in Guam is gang-related. So it makes sense that, like, my mom would say, my talking will get me in trouble. But And when I was with him, at first I felt loved because we were in high school.
Typically, everything in our life starts well.
Yeah.
Whether something is good for you or not, there's this activating thing with something new. Gives you this feeling like there's different chemicals in your body.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's what attracts us to the wrong relationships because it feels good. I think whatever it is, anything new feels good. It is the test when it doesn't feel good anymore. What happens? Is it like a problem between the two of you? Is it a problem of like somebody's a narcissist in the relationship? Or it's just you're too different? So I think it's a test of time. And the hard part is people hold on to that feeling, the good feeling in the beginning, hoping you want to go back to it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 9 years. But when it never happens, maybe we should take a hint. But when we took the hint, it's too hard. We're so into that relationship, especially if you have a kid. It's very hard to just like quit on a relationship when you have a kid together.
I just want to say though, like when I did have my son with him, at that point, it was towards the end of our relationship already. So as much as he is the biological dad, I just refer to him as a sperm donor at this point because she has been there for my son since he was like 4 months old, really.
Wow.
So she's changed his dirty diaper. She stayed up with him and with me.
So this, like, it seems like you've been really in a rough relationship, and I appreciate you and honor you for being so open, especially to our viewers and listeners, about your situation because you are not alone. So many people in this country and even in the world have a similar situation, and perhaps if they hear what you're sharing right now, that you were able to get out of that toxic relationship, that they can do it too.
I think the main thing to remember, though, in that situation is that it's going to be hard, and sometimes you won't have somebody that will tell you that they care enough for you to get out of it. So you have to be that person for yourself.
Tell me, how is it like operating a boba shop?
It's a lot crazier than I expected it to be honest. See, the thing about dreams, right, is that they're called dreams because it's hard to reach. For me, when I first thought about opening the boba shop, I knew I needed the money. I knew I needed the funds for it. I knew I didn't have it. But I thought what I did have was the good drinks. That's it. I just had the good drinks. Like, the idea of this didn't happen till literally maybe, 2 weeks before we actually named the business. But the hardest part about owning the boba shop is all the legal paperwork. Because there's so many things I want to do in here. We don't have a lot of space. And we also don't want to step on any toes. And because we are in a plaza, there's other businesses next to us that we have to make sure that they're okay with the things that we do. The government needs to know what we got to do. And then we also got to make sure that our budget knows what we got to do. So that's like the hardest part about, I guess, the boba shop in general. My favorite part is making up the drinks and having random people try them. I'll be making the drinks in the back, like, oh, I think this sounds good. And I would be whipping it up, and new customers would come in, and old customers would come in, and I'd just be like, hey, do you want to try it? You're not allergic to this, right? You don't want to try it?
I know you've done that with me. You handed me a drink, and then I just try. I don't even know what it is. Then I tell you if it's good, it's too sweet, or too salty.
Salt, yes, we do. We have a sea salt home, if you guys wonder why. There's salt in our drinks. That my favorite one to make people try, and I think at this point it's just a meme, is I've been trying to make a lychee coffee, and I don't have the perfect recipe for it right now. But I would make an espresso shot and put lychee in it, and then I would just make people try it. And they always assume I'm going to give them something good because 99.9% of the time it's delicious. And they would try and be like, what are you giving me? why? And they second guess me, and it's actually really funny because I think in a way it breaks the ice of some sorts with some customers, and I think it makes them feel more at home that we are willing to give them something that is so bad. We don't charge them for it, obviously, but I think it's just funny, you know, like sometimes you need the bad to make sure that things are good. So
yeah. And I just wanted to go back to the first time that we met. So it was when, like, one of those events that you had here at the plaza. It was a night market event.
Yeah.
And it was one of my friends who had brought me here. They're like, you have to try this boba shop. I'm like, oh, I know every boba shop here. Right? I didn't know this one. And so I came in here, and there was like 20 people in here. And even though there were so many things, you're so busy, my friend drags me to the back here, right in the back where we're actually sitting. And it's like, you have to meet this owner. And then so we have a warm introduction. And then,
this is my wife, T. And then I start introducing every single person inside the room because I like to make that kind of connection. But that event itself, like, it was the self-love market, actually, because it was Valentine's Day. And what better Valentine to have than yourself on Valentine's Day, you know? We did have, like, what was it, almost 40 vendors here. And we had a photo booth that people got to take pictures for free. And I think that was the first market we started giving out free drinks for the first 25 people who bought something from a small business. Because, like, I don't know if you know this. You know this. I like to support a lot of local businesses here, a lot of the small businesses, the community itself, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have our start. We wouldn't be able to be here. And it was actually really funny because when we first started the business, I would tell her, I was like, we can have our shop in 6 months. She was like, lies. No way. There's no way we can do this. It's at least 5 years before we have a shop. Literally 6 months to the day we signed the lease for this place.
Yeah, no, I know that y'all had just had your 1-year anniversary.
Yes.
And I know one of the biggest things that gravitated me to the shop was because y'all do a lot of work with local artists. You have local artists who you sell at your shop. And also, I know I also host a lot of events here.
Yes, Lorenzita.
I know for the one organization I'm part of, which is SNAPICS, known as the Southern Nevada Asian Pacific Islander Queer Society, we have our monthly meetings here. I moved the monthly meetings to be here because I felt like this place was safe for them to get to know one another and also get to know y'all and support y'all. And for myself, I host a lot of K-pop events here.
So if you don't know, Lorenzita loves to host cup sleeves events, and all of that comes out of their pocket. I tell them, go for it. Thank you for the business. The next one's actually a water-type Pokemon cup sleeve event on the, what is it? July 26th. Yeah, but you're watching this, it's going to be past already. Just look at it.
I've been doing monthly cup sleeve events.
Yeah.
So I had one that was the first one I had, which was of this group 17, which is K-pop, and then the first one was TXT, and then 17, and then a Pokemon one. And I'm actually working on another one for late August with a high schooler that reached out because she had come to the shop and wanted to do a cup sleeve, but didn't know what to do. So I was offering, helping them with that mentorship on making that event. And I'm certain for September, there's going to be a Stray Kids cup sleeve event, which is another K-pop group that I like. So besides me, I know that you all do a lot of other K-pop events, community work.
Yeah. We close on Sundays, and we close on Sundays purely for the fact of doing events outside. You know, that's our way of kind of staying humble as a small business. That's where we started, you know. We don't ever want to lose the sight of how hard it was to get to where we are today and how hard it is still to keep going, to keep this place a safe community spot for somebody to go to. So we like to support all the other businesses and other markets that we go to. Like we just recently were at Lulu's Plant-Based Into. She does markets once a month, and it's all vegan. Everyone who goes there The product, the food, everything is vegan. It's the only one right now in Las Vegas. And so if you're vegan, go check out her page at Lulu's Vegan Kitchen. Besides that, we also do anime night marts on Sundays as well. And Chris, the organizer for that, he hosts it mostly once a month here. He tries to, he's a busy man. He also does events in California. And that's where I met a lot of the businesses that I support now. We do have a little artist nook here on the side of the wall right before you get your drinks. And there's right now currently 9 artists in this little nook right here that we like to support. Everything that you buy from them, all that money goes back to them. We don't take any commission off of it. We just want to support them, get them out of the heat in Las Vegas. And then we just, I don't know, I just love the community so much. I just want everyone to know that there's somebody there. So
it looks like you're a giver. A lot of the people we invite in this show is a giver.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, you are in pain, you are going through stuff, you're building a business. Why on earth are you helping the community? What's that about? Why?
The biggest thing is because I am in pain. You know, our name Afterlife doesn't necessarily mean spooky, you know, or like,
that's what I thought,
witchy vibes or anything. No, yeah. A lot of people do come here because if you look at our logo, she's a half skeleton girl, you know, and she's in this cup of tea and the name Afterlife. But the whole meaning behind Afterlife is about new beginnings, you know, and having your second chance to create the life you want to have. And it's going to be hard, you know, that's the whole point of it being wrapped around the thorns, you know, because life in general has a grip on us and we need to be able to get the grip back. And that's what I want this space to be. I want this, my shop, no matter how many shops I do have in the future, or even if we're just out vending, I want people to feel that welcoming space. Like, hey, trust me, I've been there, you know, and I don't ever want to be that one person who turns somebody away when they're having the hardest day of their life. Because, you know, that really makes or breaks somebody, you know.
That talks about your heart. Like, I'm just looking back in the days with what you were saying about your life, being in foster care, feeling unloved and unheard. You turned everything around. You have made something so painful to something so inspirational that it's so hard not to listen to you anymore. You know, it's so hard not to listen to you talk. Usually I'm very talkative, but I'm like, I love what you're saying because I think there is power in pain. Even though we don't look for pain, there is power when you turn something painful into something worth living for. That I would turn around my life that I may not like right now into something that can inspire other people. And that's what you have done with Afterlife Boba.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I picked a boba shop in the beginning is because when I was 16, I actually didn't have a place to stay. And I got a job at a boba shop and making the drinks and watching people drink it and be so happy just because I could give them a cup of boba. Like, it became my safe place. And that's when I fell in love with the idea of making drinks. It was very therapeutic. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who was watching this and who isn't watching this, it doesn't matter. Therapy is something that is hard for people to do. No matter how strong or how weak you think you are, therapy in general is hard because it's hard to talk about your pain. So for me, I'm a very hands-on learner. And I guess making the drinks was therapeutic for me and watching people enjoy it, you know?
Yes, I like that. And I really want to reiterate the fact that therapy is very good. Some people can, let's say, number one, afford a counselor. And if you can't at this moment, because not everybody can afford one, right? Find something you love. Because in what you love lies you. You like making drinks for people. It means today you're a giver. You like to make people happy. What makes you happy? What makes you saying to yourself, wow, I like being me, right? If you know what it is, if it means making a drink for someone, listening to a friend when they're in dire need and they're crying on the phone, perhaps helping somebody with their homework, or being on the streets and fighting for the rights of others that don't have a voice. That's your mission. And that's good. That could be therapy.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of folks come to you for advice, mentorship, whether it be a small business or local artists. So for folks who are want to become entrepreneurs, what is the advice that you want to give them?
The very first thing I would say is do it from your heart. Because if you don't do it from your heart, you'll get bored of it easy. You'll get mad at it. And you'll end up losing money because your heart wasn't in it. You know, you don't have the drive that most people do. Now, if your heart is in making money, that's a different scenario. Like maybe you can make money from making money. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing is build, what is it called? Build your support group. That's what it is. Because it is hard to do it alone here. In Las Vegas, I'm pretty sure in anywhere, really, having a business is hard. So making sure that you have a support group, somebody there, multiple people there. Having a business is like having a child. You know, it takes a village. It really does take a village. You're part of my support group, Lorenzita, because you do a lot of the community outreach for me when I draw a blank of where to go. And as I said at the beginning, I am kind of more of an introvert than an extrovert. So it is a little awkward for me to be like, hey, do you want to like come to my shop? And like,
okay, I'll be the extrovert and tell everyone come to Afterlife.
I really appreciate it. It makes me laugh so hard when people come in here and I'm like, oh, how did you hear about this place? It's like, oh yeah, this one person yelped me and told me to come here. Oh yeah, this one person, they're my friend, Lorenzita. They told me to come here. And I was like, oh yeah, they're my friend too. And it's just so heartwarming to hear all the hard work you put in just for our business. And I'm sure you don't do it because of the boba, even though the boba is delicious.
It's the best boba. It is the best.
We definitely do it because you are there for the community as much as we are. And same thing with my wife. She actually never really liked boba before she met me. Sad to that. Well, that's the thing. A lot of people who has come in here did not like boba before they came in here, and now they're our regular. Because we're not just serving you delicious drinks, who, by the way, is made a lot more healthier than most places because we like to use a lot more organic stuff. But we are serving you love. We're serving you a community. We're serving you support. You know, we are here for everybody.
It's like they don't have to be your closest group of friends. It's like I said, it's all about community, and that's why we're so appreciative of the community, because we went to events to kind of scope out what it was going to be like. And we asked questions, and there were so many amazing vendors who gave us the information. They said, hey, if you want to do this, this is how you do it. I can give you some advice. I can give you some numbers for people to talk to. And just, so I would just say, connect with people. Just connecting and making those genuine friendships or genuine bonding moments with people. That's what really helps you. Even going to like the market, just interacting with so many people.
Yeah. So a lot of people would say that, call that networking. But as much as I agree that it is some type of networking, I think that name or that word is, what is it called? It's overdone and like it's old school, you know, let's bring it back to the new day. The community. That's what it is. Making a community, making the support for people. We got our big kick, I guess, with one of our really good friends at No Butcher. She owns Alicia. She owns No Butcher, and she helped us by allowing us to pop up in front of her shop. She's a all vegan sandwich shop, and she has really good food, really really good food. My favorite there is the Greek. Give it, go try it. Go try it. Besides that, we also got help from Game Nest across the street from us. She is such a wonderful lady. and she's working right now and having her own little cafe. By the way, this is John Bunch.
So just in the below with
No. Jen is the biggest support. He's here day and night, never takes a break, never eats, as you can tell. But Game Nest over there, they allowed us to pop up. And then what else? All the vendors that we have here, they help us. They tell us, they give us feedback of what we can do better. And they tell us about our drinks and how they love us, and we love them. One of my closest friends, actually, JoJo, she has her little art up here, Moon Bites. Just started her business, and she started it because, I support her, and she supported me at the beginning. And she's doing really well, by the way. Another one, what else? There's Solista Salon.
plugging.
Well, I know it sounds like advertisement because it kind of is, but I also want everyone to know that like these people are the ones that helped us, There's Sinister Salons, Mango Bulbs, Mary's Crafty Corner over here. There's Bobby. I know her by her name. Honestly, her Instagram name, I think it's Pink and Babbles Blossom. She's awesome. What else? Who else? Everybody, really, just like the community. If you ever want to know more, you can always stop by here and ask me. I will tell you everything.
So, Reina and T, please invite our audience or viewers. How can they taste their boba here?
Well, you can always come to our shop. We're glad that we have our shop now here on Spring Mountain Road. It's 4568 Spring Mountain Road. We are in the same plaza as Ronald's Donuts, so across the street from Game Nest, Naba Hot Pot. I believe that's what it is. Or have you seen the Palette Tea Lounge across the street? There's a lot of places nearby.
Where are the cross streets? Come here.
Oh, yeah, that's what I should probably say. Spring Mountain, Arville. Spring and Decatur, in between Arville and Decatur.
Here. So Spring Mountain in between Arville and Decatur. The only reason why I asked that is because I'm very bad at directions, and that's the only way I can find.
Yeah, I'm a landmark person. That's why I was like, okay, naming all these other shops near us.
Yeah, I think it's like some sort of like Asian or Pacific Islander thing. I'm from the Philippines, so I don't know how to get to places unless there's a landmark and certain names.
Yeah.
I need to find a street and then landmark. Then I'll find. I have GPS, I still get lost.
Yeah, sometimes, Siri, they'll be guiding you to the right places.
Yeah,
One time it guided me to the opposite way of traffic.
Oh my gosh. But anyhow, what's the name of your shop again?
Our shop name is Afterlife Tea and Boba Room. If you want to follow us on Instagram, Afterlife Boba LV, you can find all our upcoming events and information there. We will be hosting our trunk or treat event soon, hopefully. Starting in September is the first one we'll do, and then 2 in October. That is the drive, the ambition we have for it. We did stop for a little bit with our markets because our markets were getting so big and it wouldn't fit in our plaza. So we were currently looking for a new venue for it.
Amazing. Well, we're very excited. Thank you so much for giving us the time to interview you. You're very authentic and at the same time inspirational. And I appreciate T for being here for Venus Support. My co-host right here, Lorencita, who introduced me to our amazing entrepreneurs. And I call you missionaries because you have a mission. So big dreams and a mission. And I wanted just to summarize everything. We've talked about being able to be courageous enough to get out of a toxic relationship and turn that into something that is your inspiration to even do so much better in life. The things that you've shared, that you both shared. If you want to be an entrepreneur, start with your heart. Check your heart. What do you love to do? Because you're not going to be tired, even if you are physically, if you love what you do. Number 2, find your besties, your support system, support group that's going to be there for you through thick and thin. Yeah. And number 3, don't just network, connect. Build that connection because as you see here, Afterlife Tea and Boba is made by love, by the people they love. Thank you so much again for having me here in another episode of Courageously Speaking. So no matter where you are in your journey, know that you are the author of your own story. Yes, stay courageous. Thank you for tuning in to Courageously Speaking with me, your host, Maria Soriano. We hope this episode has inspired you to always be courageous. Join us again soon, and don't miss an episode. Like, share, and subscribe. Episodes available every first and third Thursdays wherever you get your podcasts.